Oak funding enables partner organizations to implement projects and programs which help and support communities and people in need, while the capacity building support is there to enable institutional and organizational strengthening. Oak provides the capacity building support in a tailored way, which takes into account the context and the culture in which these organizations operate.
In India, our experience has been that when INGOs or donors have focused on institutional building along with helping them on the strategic vision, the results have been more impactful. And so we see that if they have invested into institutional building some 20 or 30 years ago, those institutions have still stood strong despite exigencies internally or externally. So if you are talking about tackling structural issues or normative issues which are very deep-rooted, which are very stubborn, and you have to work on those issues for a very long period of time, you need to be also institutionally strong. So what the capacity building program of Oak through the India program has been very, very valuable is that it simply helps the organization to meet these kind of very long-term objectives.
Some of our groups maybe came from these visionary founders who saw a need in the community that was not being addressed and wanted to do something about that need. But they didn't necessarily know how to run a nonprofit.
So while they may have a certain leadership on a particular idea, they were not institutionally strong, or rather they were institutionally called fragile.
Oak supports visionary leaders to build skills which allow them to be more strategic, work in a more adaptable way, and be compassionate in their work. And also Oak supports organizations to work more effectively and to withstand storms which can derail them. But we are aware that this support has to be tailored to their specific needs, and we are aware that each organization has to find its own capacity building path and to own the process and have full stewardship.
I've learned a lot that capacity building is actually a journey that nonprofits could go through at any point of their organizational life cycle. I don't think every organization is ready for capacity building. For example, I think there are groups who maybe applied for the funding who were really needed core support funding. They really needed funding for staffing, they needed funding to just strengthen their budget. And we're looking at it, coming at it through this capacity building funding. That is not what we intended with this funding. Doing capacity building is to really assess whether they're ready to take on this a capacity building project. For one thing, it's going to take a lot of staff time. So recognizing that this is layered on top of the work that you're already doing, so you want to make sure that you have the staff resources who can really dedicate time to it. Making sure that you have sufficient funding, so even though a funder may provide capacity building funding, it may not be sufficient for what you need to do, and you'll need to come in with funding from your organizational budget. I would say also recognizing the length of time that it's going to take. And in that way, we feel like the organization is strengthened in the process by deciding what they need and how they're going to do it.
It makes them more strong as institutions, make them more resilient to both internal changes as well as external changes. So it's like a cross-cutting thing that that helps organizations to become more effective, more efficient, and look at what is most important in terms of their work being more impactful and sustainable.
I work with program officers to assess the readiness for capacity building support and the possibility of absorbing the capacity building. Our ultimate goal, which is to strengthen our partners, remains a priority. We want to give our partners the best possible chance to grow strong within their communities so they can continue providing their great services to people in need for years to come.